Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's live about your soul blueprint. We've got the absolute expert of this here, which is Kelly Heinsohn, and I've been dying to drag her on to talk to everybody about your soul blueprint and soul purpose. I've been nagging you to say this. Lots of people don't understand this, right?
No, that's it. That's exactly right. They think like soul purpose and soul blueprint is exactly the same thing, but it isn't. So shall I just explain what it is?
Yes.
Get straight into it. Okay. So during my work of doing this for many, many years now, I'll say like 5 years or so, 4 years maybe. It just seems a lot longer because I've clearly been doing this in many lifetimes before. So soul's blueprint. So if you imagine the foundation of a house, so we've got this envelope here, right? So this is the foundation of the house, and this is your original soul's blueprint. And then as each lifetime goes on, you have, imagine building a house, you've got a brick and a brick and a brick and a brick and a brick until you build this house. Those bricks are the soul's purpose. So that's what's so different about the soul's purpose and the blueprint. We all have a blueprint, and that blueprint is something that's in us all the time. So we have a lot of, I think the most common one is connection. So there's a lot of people that are connectors in life. There can be, probably in this lifetime, there will be connectors of people. There'll be that go-to person. They'll know someone to know someone. And it's something that they do naturally, and they do it for free. Do you know what I mean? It's just something that's in them. It's their soul's blueprint and in their DNA. Your soul's purpose is a specific purpose that you've kind of come into this life for, but it's still going to be blueprint, still going to be in your blueprint. Okay, so your soul's purpose in this lifetime might be to be a connector of people, and you might work in a lab and connect all bacteria together to grow something. But then in another soul purpose, it might be you're a connector of plants and animals and things like that, but you're still a connector. It always shows up. So your soul, your blueprint is kind of mirroring all the soul's purpose, if you know what I mean, but shows up very, very differently. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And when we first of all met, you were talking to me about this. It took me a little bit of time to get my head around, and also to have a think about what my soul purpose is in this lifetime, but how that relates to my blueprints, and how when you get them aligned, you feel much more confident and everything flows a lot better. And for me, I know that part of my blueprint is about puzzles, putting pieces of jigsaw puzzles together. So if you were to put me in a monotonous job, just like doing stuff without, thinking or puzzling together, I would not thrive, and I haven't thrived. I've had to do things like that before, but it's really harmful for me, very toxic for me to be in that environment. But other people really love that. They love doing repetitive tasks again and again, because it makes that's what they just enjoy doing.
Yeah, and I actually think that that's the whole purpose of these monotonous jobs as well, it is actually to pull us away from our soul's blueprint, because a lot of people in jobs aren't happy. They're going to work, they're doing the thing, they just feel rubbish, but they have this innate something in them that's pecking away, which is just, it's their natural blueprint trying to surface, but it can't, because if you imagine a bed with all loads of clothes all over it, it's just all these clothes all over the bed. It's just building up till we don't even know who we are. Do you know what I mean? So when I do these readings for people, is to get down to the core of their very essence of who they are and what they've came here, not just here to do, but just who they are as a soul. So I would suggest, even if you don't have any of these readings from us, it's to really sit and be still and think, what is it that I love to do, that my soul craves to do? Because that's a really important question that we don't ask ourselves ever, and in my one-to-one sessions, I always ask, like, what are your core values in your life? Like, what are they? No one knows. And this will always coincide with your blueprint and soul's mission, or whatever you want to call it. But it will always coincide with that. It'll be like, for example, like my core values are freedom massively. If I'm not free in anything that I'm doing, and that goes with all of us, but I can't be in a normal job and do a normal 9 to 5 and clock in and stuff. That just makes me feel sick thinking about it. I have to be self-employed, do my own thing. And yeah, it's a struggle, but I would rather that than be not free.
Time.
Like nature is a massive part of my blueprint. I have to be in nature to thrive. So all these little things, I try and find out what's your core values, and let's see, and then we get down to the blueprint of it. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell, if that makes sense.
So a lot of people are trying to try and get explanations about what they feel and what they do based on past lives. And from what you've just said, that's kind of like the layer above. It might give you some clues, but if let's say you go to a past life where when you were living there, you weren't fulfilling your soul blueprint because you did something that wasn't aligned. If you connect back to that and say, oh, that's the way I feel like this, that, and the other, you're not connecting at that deep enough level. And you're getting misinformation. You need to really go down to your blueprints, right?
Yeah, you do. And it's not necessarily the misinformation. It probably is to do with a past life, but it's just information that you actually don't need to know. Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
it's probably information that you do hold somewhere, but you don't need to know it because it's not going to help you evolve in this lifetime. So when I'm doing the questions are really important. So when people have a reading with me, I send them a form, and I know people hate forms, but it's really important for me to get this information. So a lot of kind of like, I don't know, psychics and tarot reads and things like that like to kind of not guess the information, but intuitively know the information from the person, and then like guesswork type thing, where I want to know what they want to know, what illnesses they have, how it makes them feel, all these things, to be as accurate as I can with the questioning, because nothing will get answered if I don't ask it. It could be, by the way, a bomb's about to go off in about 5 seconds. But if I've not asked, is there a bomb about to go off in 5 seconds? It's not going to get answered. It will just answer exactly what I've asked. Do you know what I mean? So with the capture form, it needs to be very specific. And a lot of people in the years, when I say be very, very detailed on your answer, and I know it's annoying, but this really helps you connect to it and then really explore yourself, because sometimes the questions that I ask, you don't ask yourself those questions. So it can be very healing anyway, that part of the process. But when people just answer yes or what, like a 3-line thing, I'm like, come on now, it's
you're not going to get much from that.
No, well, you will, but it's not going to be. It's not going to be what they actually want to know. It'll be like, oh yeah, that's really interesting, but I wanted to know this. Well, why didn't you tell me then? That's.
I think you're right about the tarot. At the beginning, they ask you this question. Set an intention about what you want to come out the cards, and people just then go, oh, and they think about it there in that moment, and they haven't thought about it properly. And this is why random stuff can come out. I had a really, really lovely sort of organic tarot reading from Tracy Bradley by me, and she spent a lot of time on me connecting to what did I actually want from this reading. And that's the way to go, because otherwise, the cards are just going to show you all the intuition, everything's going to come through. It's not going to be deep enough. And if you actually do want to know your soul, what your real soul mission is and how you align to your blueprints, that you've got to really think about that question and not have the other stuff floating around in your mind. You've got to, it's tools, isn't it? It's horses for courses.
It is, absolutely, and it's to be able to connect deeper to the self, because that you exploring this and wanting to have one of these readings anyway is a massive journey to go on. It's not like I'm going to go and see a psychic and I'm going to go do a tarot reading, and then you leave and then that's it, and you'll talk about it to your mate and that'll be it. This is like really deep soul level stuff, so you really do have to be ready to connect to that part of yourself, do you know what I mean, and to truly understand it, because it will come obviously it comes in English, but it will explain it in a way that we wouldn't talk, and it can be a bit like, so I always say to people, read it and read it and read it again, because every time you read it you'll get something else from it, because it's so deep.
Can you give us an example of a reading that you've done before so people can get an idea?
Okay. So one recently, I don't know if the people listening understand about grid work. You just explain about grid work, Jo, what you do with land work and grid work, and then I can give the example, because people might not know what it means.
So grid work is when you're working with the land to bring in codes or remove like negative information into the land, because we're not just here in our bodies and our biofields, but there is like a grid, a network of information all around us in nature, and that isn't operating as it should be. So there's lots of us, when we woke up, we realized one of our soul missions, and that we've done before actually, is to work with this grid and get these energy points connected up.
Mm-hmm. That's it, right? That's a great explanation. So the reason why I asked you for that is because this one particular one, which was quite amazing, was all to do with land work. So this particular lady was on a farm and kind of grew like fruits and vegetables and things like that. But they were really rare. They've not been seen, well, never seen before in that time. It was like the 1400s or something. And what she did was she was able to, in her mind, put plants and seeds, energies of plants together and bring through plants that had never been seen before. So the people of that time thought it was the land that had the magic, and where's all these plants coming from? It must be this land. But it was this lady's information. But how she got the information was by communicating with the land, but mainly through the mycelium of the land, to bring through that information. By her kind of like being still, tapping into the stillness and whatever, and just receiving the information from the trees, but mainly the mycelium, for what she has to do to cultivate these plants and what she had to do with the soil. And it says that this is the way that the original land work and grid work was actually done, by communicating directly by the nervous system of the land, which is the mycelium, isn't it? So that's just one. Go on, sorry.
I was just going to say, yeah, the mycelium is like the nervous system. They're electric beings, and they're like our nervous system, I guess, for the land.
Yeah. There was another one that always sticks in my mind, actually. There was a lady that, I can't remember what year. I'll say kind of like, I don't know.
But you bring out this important point. You can get to the point, and I've heard many of your readings. We'll get out some of these like every week to show you. You can actually get down to dates, places. And then when people go to research these dates and places, that they find out that they're real, and you can't possibly know that a lot of this stuff, right? But when you look back in history, they're validated, right?
Exactly, absolutely. I did one on my mum actually, and it come back. It told me an exact place of where I was her daughter in a past life as well. I died at a very young age, and it just said that my mum was kind of never got over it, and she buried me in a place called Little Dover in Canada on the beach. So then when I was researching it, I did a reading for Christmas for her. When I was researching it, it's actually right on the coast in Canada. I just couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God. And it said in a cave on this beach. Da, da, da. I was like, wow. Like I would never have known that. So yeah, sometimes it can be very specific. Sometimes it can be very specific, but then sometimes it can just come out with a load of numbers. So I think it coincides either coordinates or it's something, which I do need to look into, I guess. But it's, either comes up with numbers or a name. But I think it just, however it communicates to me.
So to learn how to do this stuff, guys, this is what we teach in the Crystal Water Experience. We've got the level 1 workshops coming up, which teaches you the basics. Then we go deeper into level 2, which will then start to communicate in, say, with nature and bring out those codes. And then level 3 is going to be an online course. It's going to take about 4 months. And the reason why this is most people are not used to connecting to their own DNA blueprint. A lot of people have got into this practice of asking for external help, whether it's guides or this, that, and the other. They don't know your blueprint. You know your blueprint. And this is a different skill, and it's not a very widely taught skill, although I'm seeing a lot more information now where people are starting to understand the core of you, well, the stillness of who you are, which is great. But it's a real skill. And when you can get to that point, you will be able to do what Kelly can do. But more importantly, along that journey, you can start understanding who you are more.
Yeah.
And that skill of tapping into yourself. So we've got our first course this Sunday coming, 26th in Wolverhampton, and we do have some spaces, left. We've got quite a few actually, because I think January is a pretty quiet time for people. So if you want to book on, please go to our website. I'll put a link here in the Facebook, because we could do with a few more numbers there. Then we've got February, where we've got 5 places left, and that's in Buxton. Then we do it again in Wolverhampton in March. Then we're going to start going on to level 2. So you won't be able to do level 2 without doing level 1. Otherwise, there's going to be too much time focused on the basic skills before we can move to that. So please put in your comments, your experience of like soul past life regression and all this kind of stuff that you've done, and what you've found out about this topic and about this blueprint. Do you think you know your blueprint from what you've done, or is this what we're talking now really new to you?
Yeah, interesting. And people that have had readings over the years as well, put your comments in as well, and just see, have you done anything about it since? If so, what have you done? How it helped your life? I get a lot of comments saying it's been life-changing and things like that, but how has it changed your life? This is what we want to know. So it's really important work, but not just what I do, but then what you do after. And like Joe was saying, and you can do this as well. And it might show up in a completely different way, because I'm tapping into my blueprint, but it's to activate yours. It's to activate your blueprint to see what you're going to do. Do you know what I mean? It's not saying it's going to be exactly what I do. There's been lots of people on my courses that have been able to like really get to communicate with nature, like sentence by sentence about what it's saying, and people that can start to see then like auras around things and whatever. So it's really activates you for what you are meant to be doing. So yeah,
and the thing that we're going to be doing, so of course Kelly does the readings, but what you also were doing in the and you've been working with is the fact that your blueprints, the core of who you are, has a frequency. And you can bring down, because we all know that Kelly can automatically she writes frequency codes. We can bring down the frequency for your DNA blueprint, which will then sort of strengthen your connection there. How would you describe that? When somebody has their own frequency of their own blueprint, what experiences can they expect?
So I just explained that so people understand it. So the frequency, you've got a frequency of your human self, and then you've got the frequency of the core of you, your higher self, or your blueprint, whatever you want to call it. It's the same kind of thing. So they're very different. So the human one would be down here as such, and then the higher self one would be here. So and how I discovered this is when I was doing readings for people, I just wanted to know that they were kind of on the same level of what I'm energetically connected to. I didn't want to come down any lower. So when I did this, I would come up with a frequency. It'd be a really beautiful, neat frequency. The bandwidth would be really small, which is always a good sign. And I would be like, what does this even mean? And it would say the high self frequency is of God source consciousness, whatever. And then another one would be of love, or connection to the creator, or something like that. It would be very beautiful what would come through. So what I've done with them since then is to be embedded into, we do these now actually, these discs, to embed that frequency into these discs, so then you can charge your water, your food with your actual soul's blueprint frequency. So then your human self will be able to easily match with your higher blueprint self. Okay, does that make sense? So just by using this all the time, you can even just like stick it on your desk, on wherever, just so you can charge things up with it. And then the water content of the food, of the water, with your crystals, whatever you want to charge it with, will start to change to the frequency of this, which will then help you get to that level.
And our kids are, you know, guinea pigs as you develop this. Why don't you just quickly tell the story about when you were just testing this theory with your daughter's blueprints and she came into the house?
Yeah. So I wanted to test to see if I could embed this frequency into anything. So I chose frankincense because I'm always burning it. And I thought, will it be destroyed with smoke, with heat? I wasn't sure. So I connected to my daughter, brought through her soul's blueprint. I just said, can you just leave the house for a minute and just come back in a minute? So I put the frankincense on the charcoal, the smoke just engulfed the house, really beautiful. I felt it as well. Really beautiful feeling. And I said to her, can you just come in the house now? And she walked in and she went, what have you done? And I said, what can you feel? She said, my whole body is literally vibrating and I just feel like really tingly. What I said, what kind of feeling is it? And she said, it feels really nice, but it's really intense. And I said, okay. I said, what is the frequency of your blueprint of your higher self? She went, of course it is. And we measured the biofield and things, and it was absolutely huge. And the feeling in the house was just beautiful. So we know that we can embed it in anything and it won't be destroyed. That frequency and that smoke is still out there now, you know, somewhere in the ether. So yeah, that's what you can expect. And a few people have bought the frankincense in that sense over the years and had amazing experiences from it as well. So like I say, it could be put into anything. So now we've chosen to put it into the special limited edition biodefense shield, but these are not embedded with anything yet, but these will be embedded with the frequency of you when we put them out.
Yeah, they're like our frequency discs, and then you can use them to charge whatever you want up.
That's it.
Because it's just a neater way. It's a neater way we found to do this. So we're going to be putting that service on the website very soon if you want to have a go at that. But we urge you to come and try this stuff yourself and see it for yourself and experience it for yourself. So come to one of our workshops. It's this Sunday, the 26th. It's my daughter's 16th birthday, so it's a very special day. And we've got very, very amazing people on the course already that I'm really excited to see. So we're looking forward to that on Sunday. Come and learn some stuff. It'll be, nobody else is teaching what we're teaching. Everything that we're sharing today, you won't be able to find on any other course. And it is truly liberating when you know this stuff and know how the world works.
It really is. Yeah, come down. It'll be an amazing afternoon.
Sorry,
really, really will. And in such a beautiful place as well.
Oh yeah, the place is absolutely stunning. I did a video for that last Monday, so go and check that if you want to have a look. And if you want to drop a message or you want to comment on this post, we would appreciate it. Thank you very much for listening, everybody.
Thank you. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.